everyone. Welcome to the Supply Chain Talk show. I'm Ana Maria Velica, director at Green Apples, and I'm your host today. We have a beautiful talk show, a topic very close to my heart, empowering vendors, best practices for supply chain training. This is a master class, it's more than a talk show. So fasten your seat belts and please join us either directly on the Business Reporter website or via LinkedIn. Just make sure that you open the chat box and interact with my panelists and my guests. And the best comment, the best question, the best interaction with my guests will be awarded with a Supply Chain Talk mug, which will be couriered by my colleagues at Business Reporter. So I would like first to invite our first guest, Giovanni Leonardi. Please turn on your camera. And Mike,
Hi,
hello,
hi,
Giovanni.
Anna, and hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's good to have you here. A few words about Giovanni. Giovanni is R&D and Operations Project Manager at Eurotherm by Watlow. He has an extensive background in supply chain and engineering project management, having spent the last 15 years across original equipment manufacturing, medical and automation sectors. He's an empathetic leader, passionate about effective communications. And as a fun fact, Giovanni has won a few national and international kickboxing titles over 20 years, which might be useful in supplier negotiations or not. This is impressive, Giovanni. So I would like also to invite now my second panelist, Amy Xiu. If you can turn on your camera, Amy.
Hi, good afternoon, Anna. Hi, good afternoon, everyone in the room, in the meeting room. It's my pleasure
Hello.
to be here today.
It's good to have you here. Amy Xiu is head of supply chain at Dishman Carbogen. A few words about Amy. Amy has been working in the pharma industry for 20 years in sales, procurement, global logistics, and compliance. And Amy is passionate about supply chain digitalization. She's supporting several international supply chain event organizations and professional communities, helping connect global supply chain talent. This is beautiful, a very purpose-led passion you have, Amy.
I got inspiration from you and also from some of my good connections from the industry, from supply chain function.
Thank you, Amy. My third panelist from academic background, Muhammad Azmat. Hello, Azi.
Hi, thanks, Anna. Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone.
It's good to have you here. Azi is assistant professor and program director at Aston University. And a few words about Azi. Dr. Azi is doing research, innovative technology, digital transformations, and sustainability in supply chain. As a fun fact, Azi is passionate about travel and photography, and this could potentially lead to his ticket to exploring the world. So this is always amazing to have these passions on hand. And as you know, the format of our talk show is we share with you, the audience, a news item. And today we would like to kick off our talk show with one of the public transport operator, Stagecoach, that offers free sustainable training to suppliers. And we know we are seeing more and more, given the geopolitical context supply chain needs to operate in, strategic relationship management, strategic collaboration with our suppliers are key in order to create contingency, to create value creation, competitive advantage. And so this is amazing that to see so many operators, so many companies like Stagecoach offering free trainings. And the news item talks about an initiative which United Nations Global Compact Initiative, which aimed to help business integrate sustainability into operations. And this is a beautiful program where 300 suppliers participate online free of charge into this program, which and they go through 4 online sessions and live sessions as well. So I would like to invite your thoughts. First, Giovanni, from your experience, what do you think about the news item?
I think it's great, to be fair, because usually there is this thing about policing the supply chain. Well, here is more empowering and giving them the opportunity to make sure that they make their own decision as long as the end goal is achieved. So I think it's great.
Thank you, Giovanni. Amy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is a perfect example of also align with some of my observation, the new pattern of collaboration between clients and suppliers. Though we have been working in pharmaceutical company for like around 20 years. Recently, we have been observed like some of our big clients. We serve them as as critical suppliers. They provide us some training about the supplier qualification, the understanding their like a big long-term mission, how would like to strengthen relation with their key suppliers, and also some of the big pharma companies, they act as industrial leading in terms of digitalize the supply management relation. So which means we have to log onto a system and to put in some of our critical information about the deliveries. We do it for them. So it's also the sustainability training. It's example of from a different aspect how the collaboration between the company and also the company between the suppliers go into multiple channels, no longer the same traditional way, but more digitalized or more via training. You know, the purpose is, you know, in terms the purpose is aiming to establish long-term relation, but also with the current digitalization trend, it will also I think some company are trying to establish a big ecosystem in certain industry, and that what requires the closer collaboration between the company and the supplier. So yeah, definitely think it is a good trend
Thank you, Amy.
in the industry.
Thank you, Amy. And you touched based on vendor portals, and we are seeing now more and more companies enabling strategic relationship management through vendor portals, and literally they offer help free of charge, one screen for vendors to be onboarded, to go through some due diligence, like modern slavery, like supplier code of conduct, suppliers diversity requirements. So we are seeing more and more companies, and this is beautiful input. What are your thoughts, Azi?
Thank you very much, Anna. I think I would very much agree with what Emmy has just said. And I think there are a couple of aspects of it that we need to sort of look into. First of all, we need to understand the value that suppliers and vendors bring into the supply chain. So research tells us that around 60 to 70% of the value is being created and generated by these suppliers and vendors, which is a huge thing if you look at the overall supply chain performance of any company. And given that the Stagecoach is an example on how they have actually developed the relationship with the 300 suppliers, you know what, Emmy just mentioned something about digitalization and touch base with that. And you would be surprised to know that digitalization and sustainability are two such things which most of the vendors are more afraid of, because they have the fear of missing out. They don't know if the organization is going to keep them with them in the long run, knowing that they would not have had the training on these things. They would not be able to measure their emission scopes, or maybe they do not know how to use blockchain in their procurement. So all these things basically contribute towards the FOMO that the vendors are having these days. And I think Stagecoach is setting a really good example here by allowing and collaborating with this number of suppliers. And I think going forward, we should see a lot more companies doing the same thing.
Exactly. So this is becoming like a master class now because we have at the table, we have academic inputs and expertise thanks to Dr. Azi. And also we have international supply chain experience thanks to Giovanni Leonardi and Amy Xiu. So please interact with us in real time. This is your chance to get your questions answered. Let's get into the main topic. The first one is, so more and more companies understand to be proactive rather than reactive, given the black swan nature of the current supply chain reality. So building an effective training program for scalable vendors education. How do we do that? From your experience, Giovanni, do you have some key learnings, key success factors on how a company can build this?
I mean, again, well, drawing back to my experience, I mean, I remember we at some point actually, and touches bases with what Amy was saying, we actually implemented as well a supplier portal, and again, as Ozzy said, it was actually quite tricky to implement because many suppliers were actually not too keen on using such tools. They wanted the face value in that sense, but we actually had to explain them all the benefits. So one of the things I would say is, I mean, knowledge is an enabler. And the tools are an enabler. You need to give them the confidence of effectively and the autonomy to understand exactly what they need to do. And that goes with relationship building. You need to spend time with them. You need to make them understand why this is important. And I mean, that goes over just supplier customer boundaries, I think, in all cross-functional, in all cross-functional teams, having an understanding why what you're doing is important is key. And that goes only through effective communication. There's no other way around that. So for me, would be, the key to empowerment, yes, is knowledge, autonomy, but also alignment.
Alignment with the suppliers and working collaboratively, Giovanni.
Yes.
Exactly. And this is a prerequisite to ensure supplier resilience by
Yes.
collaboratively working with the suppliers. I know many companies are also organizing open days and they bring suppliers on site on a certain topic. So let's say suppliers diversity. If this is a key strategic initiative for the company, they organize an open day and they invite their strategic suppliers as a network community. This is beautiful and this shows the power of network, transparency, and also the importance of building strong relationships. Are you seeing this, Amy, from your experience at Dishman or in your career? Do you see training programs being adopted by companies?
Because in the pharma industry, the supplier qualification process is very strict. It requires the suppliers we have a standard SOP how to qualify a supplier, and also supplier need to fill out a very detailed questionnaire providing a lot of information, including their license, the business, the overall business situation, the lab facilities. So I think this qualification part work for us is already a kind of training for the suppliers. It's not unusual. Some of the suppliers initially they don't understand why they have to provide so much information. So it's for the procurement team who is going to who is responsible to collect such information. Sometimes we have hours phone call with suppliers to explain them why we need to do that, and also we have to show them the benefit because it's especially with the critical key suppliers. We try to get on board with them, working together for a long-term for a key project for them. So we see quite often the supplier get on board very quickly after we explain some of the commercial purpose behind who are I mean, of course, we're not able to touch the confidential information, But I think to get the supplier on board with some of the business potential for them, long-term business potential for them, is one of very effective way we have observed to make them understand why we go through this procedure. So I feel like this is the qualification, the supply qualification part is so far one of the most often seen training with suppliers, but often as you said, open day for suppliers, because naturally we have several important industry exhibition every year. So we always try to invite some of our key suppliers to our booths to have meeting, and also afterwards to organize party, like together, supplier and customer together. So it's a good mix up and have a general feeling about the robust business.
Exactly. I mean, this is interesting because depending on the nature of the industry, a highly regulated industry such as pharma, such as food, or baby infant formula will require tighter regulations to onboard suppliers,
Absolutely.
to invite suppliers into a training altogether. So this is really important to align the effectiveness of your training program with onboarding suppliers, making sure that NDAs are being filled in, and also procurement, like a strategic business partner, truly explains the purpose of this effective training program. Yeah, because it's for them. It's not for the companies. For them. It's for their usage.
The mutual
And
benefit,
from
yeah.
an academic point of view, Dr. Azi, I'm interested to understand, do you have any key strategies that you would recommend our audience to embed to make these training programs effective?
Thanks, Anna. Yeah, you just asked me the question I was going to answer anyway. So I think it is very important for the first thing to understand you can't fix the problem you don't know exists. So it is very, very important that smart collaboration and smart communication is carried out by both parties involved in any operation, especially from the vendor side. When they're working with any conglomerate or big organization, we have been discussing a lot about the pharma industry, given the AMI's experience in that. I remember I've published a few articles about supply chain efficiency in the pharmaceutical industry, and presenting the idea of how we can improve the forecasting using the hybrid forecasting models. Just bringing that in to make you understand that how difficult it is, that once you have a very good working model that could be implemented and could save tons of money for the company and organization. Sometimes vendors are not just up for that, or they completely do not even know that such a thing exists. So they are definitely lacking in certain areas, especially the capacity building, capability training and building. And then there is an idea of shared resources and platforms, which of course another thing would create the impact of smart collaboration and smart communication. So when I use the word smart, that clearly refers to the selective communication that needs to go through, because again there are several things that aren't necessarily to be shared with everybody involved in the supply chain, but at the same time they need to understand how they can communicate and transfer the things that they need to and get a response from the company. So I think strategically speaking, this is very important to build that sort of a relationship with your vendors. And I would give you an example of Toyota here, because Toyota has done this remarkably well. One of the Japanese companies, and Japan is known for relationship development and building with their vendors. They don't switch that easily. They do have the legacy concept in their mind, because my great grandfather was working with this company, I would still continue to work with it. And that is all based on the collaborative efforts that they have both put into that company. So talking about Toyota, they do provide some sort of engineering support and one-on-one platform support and all that sort of stuff. So that's legendary, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a very powerful example with Toyota, that displays excellence in customer service, in the way they service consumers. And I think we need also to, when we launch and when we as companies, supply chain, when we launch these effective training programs, we need also to make sure that depending on the country, on the geography, we understand the maturity of the supply base. And I want to give you an example as well. So there is an initiative called AIM, Progress Supplier Capability Building Program, where Nestle, Unilever, and Mars jointly sponsored this program for to train suppliers in Thailand to make sure that they fully understand and they are equipped on modern slavery and responsible recruitment. Because supply chain more and more is about responsible sourcing, responsible supply chain. And this is beautiful to see even, big three major players, world international players, joining their efforts to educate suppliers in an emerging country. Can we go now into the second topic, measuring success and compliance through KPIs? Because we have, how can we measure if the training program is effective for our suppliers? We need to see improvements. We need to see improvements in their performance, in their understanding, in the way they operate. So then we need a set of KPIs, measures. So I would like to hear your thoughts, Giovanni. What's your experience on this?
In my experience, bearing in mind that my experience in supply chain was from engineering side and I was more into the supplier quality side. So for me, it was actually quite easy because KPI would be the yield and quality of the products that were coming out. I remember doing extensive training programs on the production part approval process that it was used in automotive back into medical because the company at the time wanted to basically having it as a standard for our supply chain, and our suppliers were not really that I would say that knowledgeable about that. Actually, some of them were pretty scared. So we had to create effectively a training program on that and also include that a culture of quality. So that would go actually down to the workshop operators to say, well, what you do actually matters because obviously at the time it was radiotherapy equipment. So effectively what you do goes into a bunker that treats a lot of patients. So if something is wrong with your work, it might affect somebody won't get treatment for cancer and something like that. So that goes KPI on quality would be easy because you look at the products and look at the quality of the products. But for example, on things like sustainability, well, sustainability is much more complex topic in that sense. How do you measure sustainability? Well, you can look at the emissions. You can look at carbon footprint of products as well, because whenever you go and cultural quality goes onto it as well, because whenever you got some rework or you got some rejects and stuff like that, you always have to get them back or use more material to rework, use more energy, and it goes on to those lines. So again, for me it was easy. Product quality, it was fairly easy. I'm actually interested to see what Amy and Azi would say.
Thank you, Giovanni. And this is where a joint effort and internal collaboration in setting these training programs up are key. Collaborations, engineers, quality, procurement to make it a success. So this might be one criteria for success. In terms of quantitative and qualitative KPIs, Amy, what are your thoughts and strategies to measure success of an effective training program?
Actually, we have supply performance metrics in place to manage our global suppliers, and it's made of several key layers. One, of course, is like as Geneva said, quality is a one critical aspect. We keep an eye on it, and also the on-time delivery, also the price competitiveness, and also the agility of the business, because we are in the custom manufacturing project basis, so a lot of uncertainty can come up during the collaboration with the supplier to deliver a project. So it does require from time to time, it does require our suppliers to act as a bit agile according to the requirement from the client, either the technology either like specification, quality requirement, or like it's some small change in the project. Anything could happen. So of course we highly value that. We appreciate the collaboration with our suppliers. And also nowadays, because of the geopolitical tension, of course, the business resilience and also sustainability also a big part of it. So we appreciate our suppliers. It's open the open communication from suppliers to keep us posted of if any regulation change in their local market, and also if they made any major change in their process, which is also appreciated because also we need to reflect so in the registration. So yeah, we have multiple layers of the performance, supply performance, and yeah, every year we do not yet every year we do the marking together, procurement team sitting together with quality team typically, and have an overall 360 dimension review of the supply performance, and also we provide the feedback to our suppliers.
So supplier performance is a key strategic enabler and KPI to measure if these trainings are effective, because you need to see the investment and return of investment in do they perform, does the quality of our products or services is increasing, do we have shorter life cycle times, so on and so forth. So, and Dr. Azi, what are your thoughts in terms of measuring success and compliance through KPIs?
Thanks, Anna. I think there is no one blanket approach to this particular question. Measuring success is really dependent on at least two factors, one of which is what is the objective of the training, why they are being trained, and why you seek this collaboration. And the other one is the standard of the industry. So it really depends on if you are working in the manufacturing industry, you might want to see the operational effectiveness, and you want to see the matrices that define operational performance, while some which are more concerned about, let's say, the service industry, they would want to have a look at the qualitative side of it, or quality matrices to assess the success. But in both cases, what the common denominator is, how well they are performing over a certain period of time, both internally and compared to the other parties involved, or other suppliers that are working with you in the similar.
I think the network has frozen a bit, Dr. Azi, and I think we are.
You must know this thing that. Sorry.
I think we lost you for a little while. Yeah.
Gosh. Okay. I'll try to see if I can cover up what I've missed.
Just yeah, concisely, please. Yes.
Yeah. So I think as I said before, it really depends on the objective and on the thingy. But I think I'm more focused towards the operations matrices, because they do cover some qualitative aspects as well. But otherwise, I think Amy has already explained it pretty well, that performance matrices is something that could work pretty well as well. But and objectively speaking, then there are sustainability and digital matrices that could help you out in this case.
Thank you, Dr. Azi. And I think it's really crucial what you said in terms of be clear why you are doing this program. What is it for and why you are doing it? And then you know exactly how to define qualitative, quantitative KPIs. And all these trainings, investments, free investments from companies into developing key strategic partnerships with vendors and suppliers require a lot of investment, internal investment, alignment. So strengthening collaboration, and now we are going into our last topic, strengthening collaboration with vendors to build trust, overcome challenges, and showcase real-world success stories. I would ask you all, is building an effective training program for vendors, is it enough to have a real world success stories? What do you think, Giovanni?
I mean, yes, it would be one step. Two would be effectively that they understand, again, they understand why it's important. That's the main bit for me. I mean, we had situations where for example, we had problems with manufacturing of components, and we had to effectively create a training program for our suppliers to make sure that they would understand why that matters. But again, that you need to have face value. You can't underestimate that. You have to spend time with them. It's, as you said, it's sort of an internal investment. You have to invest time, but to overcome these challenges, and because obviously you got your return on investment then straight away, not only on the short-term problem, on fixing a short-term issue, but actually you start creating this bridge and bridging basically with transparency and open communication. You start creating a stronger relationship, you almost a partnership in some cases, where suppliers not only understand what is important, but actually come to you proactively and say, well, we could do this better if you do this. So I mean, it's a win-win. You can't go wrong with that, to be fair. You actually want suppliers that start thinking about this for you, and because they're the experts. I mean, yes, you might be expert on your product or on your service, but them as supplier, they know their products better than you do, and they can actually come with better suggestion that
Exactly.
everybody can benefit on.
And innovation is one of the key success factors for companies to create competitive advantage and to showcase a world-class success. So, Amy, in your experience, pharma is highly regulated. However, have you experienced a situation where you've seen the investment paying off in real time? Can you give us an example?
Yeah, I think it's we all live in a real world. Anything could potentially happen both way. Either it work out or it doesn't work out. So either it's all it's all we have to accept it's all part of life. Yeah, of course, when sometimes things didn't quite work out because some of the example could be the suppliers, and they have their long-term strategy is not necessarily in line with the long-term target of the project. So naturally, it didn't quite work out in the end. But I see the difference, like especially like for some of our suppliers, we have been working together for more than 10 years. We kind of already a bit. I'm more comfortable to say them partnership, and some of them are my friends, like personal friends. So I see it really helped because we, of course, we discuss about the project, we work together, but also facing with this quite nowadays dynamic economic situation. There are some common areas we all have to face the challenges like the innovation, the geopolitical tension, also the tougher market. So I find it's helpful. Sometimes I like go over an extra step just to explore this area together with the suppliers. Not just like even sometimes like a chat, like I know a phone call or a meeting or like face-to-face meeting during the exhibition. Ask them what is their biggest challenge. If anything I can help, even even beyond the procurement area, I'm more than happy to help. I think it is this multinational interaction definitely be appreciated by the suppliers to ensure to inform and to strengthen the long-term relation. And also sometimes it makes sense because when the pharmaceutical company grows, merger and acquisition is one of the common way to grow, and it's not unusual. The merger and the M&A happen to some of your key suppliers because they have the key know-how, the key facility, the key products. So
Exactly,
yeah,
Amy, and it's
my
really
observation.
good to pilot. It's really good to try. It's really good to measure. I think, as you said, sometimes things maybe don't work out, but test and learn. And this is the Kaizen method. Learn and continuously improve step by step, step by step. And I'm really keen to understand from your academic expertise, Dr. Azi, how how can we capitalize on these programs? How can companies create real world success stories on the back of this trainings program?
I'm glad you asked that, Anna. I think it is very important to understand this aspect that trainings alone is not enough. Even if it is tailored made trainings, even if they are designed for specific functions and objectives, the vendor, the supplier needs to feel valued, welcomed, and supported by the company. And now, this is not as simple as just telling them this, but you have to put in efforts if you want or you see aligned interest for a long period of time. And I think it is fair to say, and even it was reported in McKinsey's report in 2022 that if they are feeling valued, you would have somewhere around 15 to 20% lower cost over the period of time and 50% less disruptions in your supply chain. So this is what a completely qualitative and subjective thing translated into numbers benefiting the company. So we do have many such examples from Unilever Partner to Win program, I guess they called it. So that was another thing which was an absolute success, giving the ownership to the vendors and suppliers, letting them win, being the part of the success story. Walmart's again, they had sustainability coaching and something going on, and they help with 20 million tons or something like that in ballpark figure reduction in the greenhouse gases over the period of time. So you see that there are many examples that could tell us that it's not only about the training, it's about them feeling valued and welcomed into that sort of thing. Now, very politely and slightly, I differ with Emmy what she just said towards the end about the acquisition and merger. Now, it really depends. Okay, it's a norm that we see often happening. Many bigger companies, they do acquire smaller companies where they see the strategic fit. We see this every day. Apple, they bought so and so company, or Microsoft invested in open tech or something like that. But how it is being observed and taken in that society and culture, it is actually it sets the tone for that bigger corporation as well. So I don't know if it's always a good idea to be a shark, or maybe it's sometimes good to be a clownfish and be supportive and work with everyone else in the market. So yeah,
Thank you.
that's actually the true example on how the collaborative efforts should work in the long run. That you don't have to acquire someone, but you work with them to
Thank you.
for common success. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Azi. I can see how passionate you are and how much expertise you bring to the table. As I say all the time, I like to think about these supply chain talk shows as master classes with clear life examples, clear and already trained, experienced expertise brought to the table, tested solutions, tested strategies. So many thanks. Because time flies quickly, I would like to encourage the audience to place questions, for answers, for please interact with us, because this is an amazing opportunity to get some expertise and some answers to your questions. And time flies quickly when we have fun. And I would really like, now that we are approaching the end of our talk show, to wrap up. And I would like, in a very succinct way, to have a round table sharing your closing thought. Giovanni, what's your closing thought on empowering vendor best practices for supply chain trainings?
I mean, as I said, knowledge is just one part. You need to give autonomy. You need to give alignment to what the end goal is, and also, as Ozzy just said, you need to involve suppliers in the process, because you need to make them understand why they are value, what's their value, and also what's the value for them as well. And I can't stress enough effective communication and being transparent. We all want the same. They want us to be successful, so they can be successful. So it will become a win-win.
Beautiful, beautiful. Make them feel valued. This is beautiful. Amy, your closing thought, please.
I agree with Asia say, make supplier feel like they are part of the winning and add value. I think the perception of the supply chain function generally is like changing over time, because supply chain used to be seen as enabler to make things happen, but now more and more experts would like to see more as like a value ending function to the organization. It is in case they choose, because the supply chain function can minimize the risk, ensure the on time launching, so add commercial value directly or indirect to the company. But by delivering this type of value-adding service, it requires the close collaboration and full support from our suppliers. So yes, we absolutely need to bring them on board and deliver the value together.
Beautiful. So all on the same page. Dr. Aziz, your closing thought?
I'm actually glad we are all on the same page for once. I thought about this, Anna, and I came up with this statement that I think truly reflects what and how I feel about this, that success is a sum of small, consistent actions, from training and mentorship to open communication, recognition, and trust building with suppliers. It's not a big initiative, but the accumulation of these everyday efforts that truly empowers vendors and creates resilient supply chains. And I was thinking about how can I put all my thoughts into a concise, short statement. And I think this reflects pretty much how I would want to end my conversation.
Beautiful. And you mentioned a word which is very close to my heart: mentorship. Mentor your supplier, don't train them. Mentorship doesn't end with a presentation, online, offline. Mentorship is starting with a presentation and ending with a heart-to-heart and continuous improvement engagement. And I would like to thank you all for bringing your expertise, for your generous expertise shared with our audience. I would love to see more questions from our audience, maybe because it's the beginning of the season. You have a chance to win Supply Chain Talk mug. I would like to thank you all for dialing in, for being here with us. We will broadcast this on Spotify and also on LinkedIn. So you will see it on demand via Business Reporter website. And I would like to invite the audience to dial in on the 8th of October, the same time, 4 p.m. UK time. We have a beautiful topic hosted by me: building resilient supply chains, proactive strategies to minimize disruption impact. We have guests and panelists from PepsiCo and Airbus, just a heads up. So thank you all, and I hope to see you again on our show. Stay safe. Bye-bye.